Oh, hi everybody. I'm Sarah Adina Smith, and it's such an honor to get to be here with you guys tonight. I have some very special guests to introduce. First we have producer Julie. Come on now. Our director Kelly. And has anybody ever heard of Judy Blume? Yeah. Well, okay, so I am so deeply moved and charmed, and I love this movie. You guys have created something so special. I have to say it was really nice to just escape into the point of view of a 12-year-old this week. This was really lovely. And I feel like you've made this movie about puberty and existential dread, which is like no easy task. I'm sure everybody wants to ask you about casting the children because they're so freaking cute. But I feel like the parents are really freaking cute in this movie. And I'm curious if how you chose Rachel McAdams and is it Ben Safdie? I forgot which Safdie brother.
I've been a Rachel McAdams fan for such a long time, and I think she just so much comes through her eyes, and she's able to convey so many different emotions without saying a word. I mean, I think like when she steps out of the bathroom and she's standing outside that door, it's like what passes over her face in a matter of 3 seconds like makes me feel so much. And so yeah, I mean, really just being a great big fan of hers and how much her heart comes through in everything she does. And Benny, I love what a surprise it is that Benny Safdie is in Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret? You know?
It's not what I would have thought.
Totally, yeah. And I think he's just wonderful. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have to say, I don't know if I can tell this story, but why not, right? When Kelly said to me, I want to wait for Rachel McAdams, she's having a baby, right? I want to wait. I thought, oh, why is she doing that? Of course, now I know. And Rachel came with her newborn and another little tiny one.
I love that.
To the set, and she was so worth it, right? Worth the wait.
I always feel like that sets a tone. I've also made a movie where an actress had just had a baby, and there's a baby in the trailer, and she was still breastfeeding, and there's something kind of really, I don't know, there's something about having babies and animals on set that like everyone's on their best behavior. It just makes it a really warm place and a really like human, forgiving kind of place.
Yes.
I was gonna ask you, these questions are just for me. I forgot you guys are here. I was like, am I like, ooh, did you have like luxuriously short days with kids in the schedule? Julie, I'm gonna ask you this question. Was it just like a 6-hour day?
Well, I mean, except that you're so stressed about it that I don't know that it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it literally like, we have to make it, you're just, it's not worth it. I'd rather work longer.
Okay. That's a good answer. I'm going all out of order here, but I'm curious for you, Judy, what was it about meeting Kelly, or I had read that you sent a letter about her letter. What was it that made you decide to trust her with this book?
She's the only person who ever said, I want to make a movie from this book, who had a credential. Like, she said, I wrote and directed The Edge of 17. I'm like, what? I just saw that movie, and I loved that movie. So that was the first thing. And then she said, and my mentor is James L. Brooks, and he'll be there the whole time. So,
that's beautiful.
I saw you in the movie. You made a cameo walking a dog.
I did. And so did he, that guy right there.
That's right. And were you on set often or once in a while?
I was 5 weeks, but 2 weeks and then a break and then 3 weeks. I would have been there every minute of every day because I loved being there.
I want to know a secret that only this audience will get to know. Nobody record. Was there ever a moment where you were there for 5 weeks where you're like, oh, Kelly, don't do that? Was there ever a moment?
You remember the moment?
Well, yes, I remember the moment.
If it's too awkward.
No, there was only one moment. I was sitting next to Julie. She was my person on the set, always there. And Kelly was filming the scene where the girls are, I must. And they were doing it wrong. They were doing it, I must, anaerobically, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I said to Julie, oh my God, no. I didn't know she grew up doing it that way.
Show us the way you did it. How did you do it?
Where you really squash your hands together. Yeah, like you really get those muscles working. I had no idea I was doing it wrong for 30 years.
I think she was doing it right.
Wait, it worked.
I was
I
doing
did
it
this
wrong.
way and nothing happened.
And Julie was wonderful, and she went up, and I don't know what went on between them, but then the girls learned.
One note, just have a little note.
Kelly?
Yeah.
I asked the Ouija board how big my boobs were gonna be around that age, and it said double D.
My daughter asked her Ouija board when she would get her period.
Yeah.
I think
And it knew.
And it knew.
the ghost was like, I remember the Ouija board ghost that I talked to just like happened to be named Sarah, which is my name. Okay, you guys. So, Judy, I feel like you are someone who you've had your books notoriously banned. You've been controversial at times. I'm curious. I'm asking you now. This is like the tough question of like, our culture is in some ways so much more liberal when you are progressive or open-minded than when you wrote this book, and arguably it's becoming more closed-minded or conservative in some ways. And I'm curious if you just like have any advice for how to chill people out or open their minds.
It's very bad today. Everybody knows it's much worse than it was in the 80s when it was starting to happen to me and a lot of other people. And there is no way to debate those who wish to do that or change their minds. So you have to be vigilant, and you just have to keep working to protect this freedom to read.
Beautiful. And Julie, do you mind saying, was there any moment that you felt almost like a moment of self-censorship about this movie? We're like, oh, maybe it's going too far here, and we want to make sure it's as accessible as possible. Was there any moment where you felt you had to pull back?
No.
Great.
What is there? I mean,
Yeah.
that's, what
I
is
just wonder, sometimes you do
controversial?
focus groups and screenings, and sometimes, I was just curious if you...
It's puberty.
Yeah.
You know what I say? It's going to happen whether parents deny it or not.
Yes. I feel like cheersing with the microphone.
I want to ask about your rehearsal process with these kids.
So I actually don't like to rehearse. I just like to have them hang out and get to know each other, and then get on set and improvise a bunch. Like the one thing I get very nervous about is them saying the words too much. And in fact, like a lot of times on set, I'm saying, forget the words, say it in your own words, and really like pushing them to play and try different things and color outside the lines.
I feel like you can really tell. There's so many organic moments. Would you have them oftentimes like first take, kind of do the script and then start to loosen up, or how would you do it?
It would depend on the scene. Like for instance, the scene where the girls look at the anatomy book and they look at the drawing of the penis, I really just set that book in front of them and said, just say whatever comes to your mind. And that's, you saw what came to their mind.
That's so great.
I feel like we should open up to the audience, perhaps. Yeah.
Do you want to just project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I grew up in southern Louisiana, a kid who loved to read, and growing up, when we got a hold of this book, like it spread like wildfire. No matter race, religion, nothing. It didn't matter. Like we came together. And when I went to college and read some more adult Judy Blume titles, it was the same thing. question is, when it came to the movie and casting, I was so grateful, I guess, to see that it was diverse, but it wasn't like, hey, look at the black people. It was just like, was that on purpose, or did that just organically happen with the actors who came?
I think we talked about that on the
Yeah.
first day we met,
Yep.
and it was very important to me. You know, because I've heard from so many kids over the years, all kinds of kids.
Yeah.
I really wanted them to be able to see each other on the screen, but you know, we didn't want to throw it in. It had to be
But
real.
yeah, and that's diversity is a lot of the reason I wanted to write in the first place. Because when I was starting out as a writer, I didn't see a lot of female experience reflected on screen, and I didn't see people that look like my friends, and so that was important, and also just getting the details right and not just shoehorning it in, but like it was important to me to have, to see just little things like her mom washing her hair in the kitchen sink and pressing it and like stuff like that, where it feels like, yeah, that's right, that's the age.
Anyone else? I see a hand that way. Yeah, you. Yeah.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks so much for being here. That was so enjoyable. I'd love to know from anyone that wants to answer, especially you, Judy, what do you feel gives you your confidence? Is it knowing that you're providing a story that many others can relate to? Or, is it also a mixture of like this burning voice within you and within your writing? Oh, did you hear me? Hi.
Did you say confidence?
Yes. Yes.
You gotta be kidding. I mean, I don't know any writer, book writer anyway, who's confident. I mean, we are
So
all,
nice to hear.
we are all so insecure, I think, about our work. It's like, oh,
Miserable.
Oh, not while I'm doing it. Not while I'm doing it, but after. I'll say to George, this book is going to end my career. And, one time he said, leave the country when the book comes out and you won't have to go through it. But that didn't work either. So I didn't get the rest of it. I just heard that word confidence, and I wanted to make sure you knew that there was no confidence.
Is that the question?
Yeah, I definitely understand that as a fellow writer. We don't really have the confidence, and then even when people say it's good, you're like, well, and can get in our own head. But I'm just curious, is it a lot of, this burning voice within inside of you that kind of drives your narrative and makes you like really have to get on the page? Or is there a large part of you that's like, well, this is really going to relate to a lot of people, and so is it more so your inner voice that keeps you writing? Like, what is kind of that fuel to your fire? Because I'm sure, like, with any writer, like, whether we create it in our head as a part of the story, we experience our own backlash. So what kind of, keeps Judy going?
Outside or inside?
Yeah.
No, it's the need. It's the inside my head. It's not the look what I'm doing for humanity. Never, never, never. It's it comes from some deep personal need. I mean, who would write unless they had to?
Yes, totally.
I mean, I say that to kids. Oh, I'm going to grow up and be a writer. And I say, okay. I mean, you don't write unless you have to write.
Yeah.
I'm stealing back a question now because I feel like I want to get some right. Do you have do you take a morning walk? What's your process? Like or do you sit right down?
Morning walks are good, and so are showers. I've gotten a lot of good ideas in showers and walks. I mean, after 50 years, I said, that's it. I'm done writing. I'm done. And I'm so happy to be done. I'm glad I did it, but 50 years seems to me.
You really are done?
Writing? Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, I'm glad I went out on my last book. That was a very important book to me. It took me 5 years, and I have a bookstore now, so I'm happy. Yeah. Oh. And also I have this wonderful,
Yeah.
This is so exciting after so many years to see this happen.
Absolutely.
Yell at me if we're out of time. Sorry. One more. Okay.
Right in the middle.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Congratulations, that was so much fun. And I wanted to ask about the music because the film had such a brilliant original score and such a fun soundtrack. And I wanted to, oh, sorry. Hello. Not loud. And I wanted to know, what were there songs that you wanted from the very beginning? How did you develop the sound for the score? Just what was that process?
A lot of it was just trying stuff in the editing room. But when it came to the score, it's, you know, it's Hans Zimmer and his team, which is just exciting because you don't think of him, you know, doing this sort of thing. But he really got it. He really got inside it in a way that was just lovely. And it always, to me, just feels like magic working with a composer because I don't know anything about how music is created. I'm just like, it's just a magic trick to me. So to show up and listen to something that feels the way the scene feels somehow, like I'm always mesmerized by it. I loved that part of the process.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
All right. I can one more.
Thank you for this movie. It was just wonderful, and especially the parts about how recent events and what's happening. So even though this was made before all that, the topics really resonated. So it was just.
You could feel a kind of hush come over the theater at a certain moment. I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to get too weepy. But everybody felt something today, a little something extra today. So thank you.
Oh yeah, the kids got to ask a question. Yeah.
You were writing, were you ever thinking, like, out of thoughts to write about?
Wait, can you say that one more time? I'm so sorry.
Like, when you're ever writing, can you just, like, stop thinking about... When you're ever writing, do you just, like, stop feeling the feeling that you know what the story's going?
Oh, I love
This is an amazing,
Yes.
amazing question.
All
Yes.
the time.
That's when you know it's good. Do you guys have this when I'm writing and it's going well? I'll look back and it's full of typos because that means I wasn't thinking.
Absolutely. There's the good not thinking, and then there's the bad not thinking. You know?
On a good day, you know, it comes from some other part of your brain, and so on a good day, you don't know, you're not aware of what's happening, I think, and then you go back and read it, and it's like, well, how did I know that? I don't know that. How did I know that? What made me do that? No, and I don't question. My son says I'm the least analytical person he's ever met, so maybe I am. I don't know. I just go with it. But you can change your mind too. You know, sometimes things don't work. So
I love it. This is just a joy. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you so much for coming.